every single trader dreams about getting funded. But the truth is 99% of traders will never get there. And it's not the prop firm's fault. It's not the evil smart money institution's fault. It's not the market's fault. It's you. You are the common denominator. Let me explain. When I first started trading, I want to become a millionaire trader in 3 months, right? Because that's what all the 20-year-old with their nice watches, their nice apartments, their nice car has accomplished, right? So automatically I assume that I'm going to accomplish that in 3 to 6 months. So the first thing I did after I actually mastered the technicals was to get funded. So I went to FTMO, I bought a funded challenge. I believe it was the 50K challenge at that point of time. Paid the refundable fee, right? Tried out the challenge. And because of the challenge, there is certain rules that you have to hit, right? Like you have to have the 5% profit target, you have to hit the 10% profit target, and you have to do that while ensuring that you do not exceed the max drawdown, the daily drawdown limit as well. So I was like, cool, right? It's just 5%. How hard can that be? After all, I have flipped my small account from $100 to $200, right? That's 100%, right? I can do this. I have flipped $50 into $10,000 before, right? I have pretty much accomplished a huge gain, outsized gains with my small account, right? So what's 5%? 5%, 10%, I can do it easily. So I started doing the challenge, right? Saw my first trade, took the first trade, risked about 2% on the trade, right? What could go wrong? Risked about 2% on the trade. Boom, lost the first trade. Now, I'm one step closer to the max drawdown, right? But don't worry, right? There is still quite a lot of room to go, right? So I'm just going to continue trading. Hopefully that I win the next trade and then eventually I'll get back to break even and then eventually I will get back to profit. So I took the next trade and I lost the next trade again. Boom. Now I'm down 4%. I'm down 4% right now and I've pretty much just lost faith, confidence, and trust in my trading abilities, in my ability to get back to break even, in my ability to pass the challenge. And what's happened is that since my self-image is like messed up right now, I don't have confidence in my edge anymore. Guess what? I took a bunch of low quality setups and then eventually I just reached max drawdown, right? I took so much losses that I actually reached max drawdown and then I lost my first challenge. That was how my first funded challenge went, right? It's not because my strategy sucks. It's not because my edge did not work. It's because maybe the market conditions were just not ideal at the point of time. Maybe I haven't really understood the markets deeply yet. Maybe I was trading at the wrong time and I was at the wrong place, right? So there were a lot of variables that led to those string of losses. And it could also be in the form of variance, like I could have executed my trade plan properly, right? But because of variance, I incurred losses. And because I did not know how to manage my risk properly, I did not have a proper plan to get funded to pass the funding challenge, I blew it. I lost the refundable fee, which meant a lot to me at that point of time. Because back then I was only making $650, right? From my 9-to-5 job in the office, right? So the fact that I've just lost half of the paycheck to like a small little refundable fee, right? And I have nothing to show for, it just allows me to feel dejected, disappointed, right? I started to wonder whether I can still make it in this industry, whether I can actually become profitable. But, as you know, I try again, right? Because the person who never quits, never lose, right? So I tried again, got another funded challenge, boom, lost that next funded challenge again, right? So it was this vicious cycle of attempting to get funded, losing that funding, not even losing the funding, but losing the refundable fee that you actually pay to attempt the funding challenge, right? But yeah, it's just me losing money constantly. And after losing all the funding challenges, after failing funded challenges over and over again, I stopped trading, right? I literally stopped trading and I started becoming introspective. I started thinking and reflecting upon my losses, upon the failed challenges, upon my mistakes. And I started realizing that once again, the common denominator is me. It's my emotions. It's the way that I actually executed my trade plan. It's the way that I actually handled my emotions. It's the way that I actually managed risk that led me to losing the funded challenge, right? That caused me to be unprofitable for the longest amount of time. So that is where I realized that it's really just these 5 key things, right? These 5 things that cause 99% of the traders to fail challenges, right? To not even pass phase 1, right? And these 5 things exist in every single trader out there who attempts to get funded, right? It's a common denominator, it's a common factor, it's a recurring factor that applies to every single trader out there, especially if you're a beginner. The first thing is you don't actually want freedom, you want excitement. Most traders, they are not chasing success, they are chasing dopamine. Quite simply put, they want to feel the rush, the excitement of winning a trade, after a losing streak. And in some way, shape, or form, they are addicted to the feeling of misery, right? They are addicted to the feeling of actually losing money because they don't feel worthy of the money. And when they make the money, they feel this spike in dopamine levels, right? They feel this excitement, they feel excited, they feel this adrenaline rush. And that is what they're addicted to. They're not addicted to making money. No, they're addicted to that dopamine rush, right? And I think this is something that no one actually talks about in the trading industry. But the truth is, if you keep on getting addicted to dopamine, get addicted to misery and suffering, right? Self-sabotaging yourself, giving your profits back to the market, then you will never become profitable because you haven't shifted your identity yet, right? Like you say that you want to quit your job, right? But what you really love is the adrenaline of trading. The adrenaline you get from when you gamble your hard-earned money in the markets. Because if you think about it fundamentally, the people who does this at the high level, right, the funded traders, the professional traders, the smart money traders, they are extremely boring and methodical when it comes to their trading. It's all about just executing their trade plan. It's all about just waiting for the setup that aligns with their trade plan, that checks off every single criteria within their trade plan, and then they enter for the trade. And if there's no such trade ideal, they stay out of the market. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's incredibly mundane, but it's what makes them profitable. It's the ability to do nothing when everyone else is chasing low probability setups without any conviction. That's the first thing. The second thing is you are copying someone else's edge rather than developing your own edge. Now, here's the problem with copying someone else's strategy. When you actually use some other person's strategy, you don't have conviction, right? You don't have confidence in someone else's strategy because you don't have data to prove that that strategy works. And without data, how can you trust that that strategy actually works? You can't, right? Obviously, you are just going to quit trading when you find out that that strategy that you just copied didn't work. After 3 losses in a row, you think, oh my God, this ICT strategy doesn't work. This SMC strategy doesn't work. You know what? The market is a scam, right? I'm just gonna quit, man. I'm just gonna go back to frying burgers and McDonald's like a fucking idiot. Well, once again, it's not the strategy's fault. It's your fault. It's your fault because, first of all, you copied someone else's strategy without doing proper research, without doing proper preparation and analysis. And it's your fault because you didn't actually test out that strategy to see whether it works or not. And it's your fault once again because you did not actually take the time out to craft out your own unique edge that suits your personality, your trading style, your risk tolerance, and your lifestyle. So obviously it doesn't work, right? Right? Obviously it doesn't work. It's really not rocket science, okay? So if you don't own the edge, right? Which means that you didn't build it, you didn't test it out, you didn't journal the trades that you have taken by executing the trade, obviously you will lack conviction, right? End of the day, you must understand that confidence and conviction, it comes from two things. It comes from data. It comes from keeping the promises that you make to yourself. So if you don't trust your edge, you don't trust yourself, it's because you haven't given yourself a reason to actually trust yourself. It's because you haven't gathered sufficient data to prove that your strategy actually works. And you haven't been keeping the promises that you have made to yourself to prove that you are actually who you say you are. So that's the second thing. The third thing is you can't handle success. A lot of traders, they want to make money, right? They want to become millionaire traders. They want to become incredibly successful people. But when they reach to that point, they start self-sabotaging themselves. They start giving back the profits to the market. They start to just gamble away the money again. They start to spend the money recklessly, and then now they are broke again, right? It's the same thing with the people who win a lottery, right? A lot of people, when they win a lottery, what happens is that they suddenly amass this huge fortune, right? They start having $1 million overnight. Their bank account went from $20 to $1 million overnight. And then the next thing you know, they go out there and spend all these $1 million, right? They go out there and they buy yachts, they party, they buy cars, they buy mansions, they buy diamond watches, necklaces, whatever the fuck they like to spend their money on. And then now they are back to square one. Their bank account dropped back to $100. It's the same thing with rappers, it's the same thing with celebrities, it's the same thing with traders, it's the same thing with entrepreneurs, it's the same thing for every single person who have achieved a significant amount of wealth in a short amount of time. They can't handle success because the identity is still the old self. They are still the unprofitable, the broke, the self-sabotaging, the over-leveraged, the insecure trader who haven't developed the capacity to handle a large amount of money, to handle a large amount of income, right? And if you're that old self, you tend to think the same thoughts, you tend to experience the same emotions, you tend to perform the same behavior, you tend to suffer the same consequences of your actions, you tend to get the same results, right? All because you haven't shifted your identity from a broke, unprofitable trader to a multi-billionaire hedge fund manager who is incredible equanimous when it comes to trading, right? You haven't made that paradigm shift yet. You haven't made that mindset shift. So obviously, you're just going to donate your money back to the markets. Donate your money to the fucking strippers in the strip club, right? Because you haven't earned the self-esteem yet, right? And self-esteem comes from what? Doing hard things, right? Really developing that confidence, that competence in yourself. So remember, success amplifies your habits, right? Your habits doesn't just go away. It's scaled with you, right? Whatever you have done when you're broke, if you don't take the conscious time, you don't make a conscious effort to change the habits, it's gonna follow you when you become successful, right? It's just like when you brush your teeth in the morning, when you brew a cup of coffee in the morning, when you work out at this particular timing, these habits, they don't just go away, right? You need to make a conscious decision to change because nothing changes if nothing changes. Your personality dictates your personal reality, right? So how you behave, what you think, how you act, right? What are your thoughts? What are your beliefs? These shape your decisions, and your decisions shapes your results, right? So if you want to change your life, you want to change the world, start by changing yourself, because changing yourself is easier than changing the world. So that's the third thing. Now, the fourth factor is you want the payout, not the process. Everybody wants to get the 10K payout, right? They want to make the $10,000 a month. That's the magical number, right? Because when you make that amount of money, you automatically have financial, location, and time freedom, which means you can sit on a beach in Bali, you can surf, you can drink a sip of margarita, you can do whatever the hell you want, right? You can buy whatever the hell you want. And you also have full control over your time, right? You can dictate what time to wake up, what time to work, what time to spend time with your family, what days to work, right? And you also have geographical freedom, right? Like I said, you can travel the world, you can do whatever you want while making money, right? And the $10,000 a month mark, that's the figure which allows you to accomplish all of those stuff, right? All of those amazing stuff, right? But what you fail to realize is that when you focus on that monetary goal, you are taking your focus from your process-oriented goals. Now you're outcome-oriented instead of process-oriented. And where your attention goes, right, that is usually where your focus flows, right? That is where your energy flows. If you're focusing your attention, your time, and your energy on making $10,000 a month, you are going to be taking the actions that will allow you to make the 10K a month. And in trading, it could be quite bad for you because now you have this end goal in mind, right? And you're going to do everything you can to achieve that goal, which means you're going to crank up your lot size, right? You're going to over leverage. You're going to rush the process. You're going to try to trade live as soon as possible without putting in the work of backtesting and gathering data. Quite simply put, you're going to be rushing the process to make the 10K a month, right? So that you can actually be free, right? Accomplish freedom in the next 6 months or even 1 month or even fucking 1 week, however delusional you are, right? But you're going to be rushing to get that goal. And when you rush to get that goal, what happens is that, like I said, you are taking your energy off the process-oriented goals. The process which is actually going to get you to that point of making that amount of money. And what is the process? The process is becoming more consistent in your actions, journaling every single day, following your trade plan, doing your pre-market routine, checking the news before you trade, ensuring that every single trade lines up with your trade plan, right? Executing your entry models, managing your risk on a day-to-day basis, right? If you can focus on the fundamentals, which is all of these factors which is within your control, what happens is that you will eventually be able to achieve that monetary goal of making 10K a month, 15K a month, 50K a month, 30K a month, whatever you are trying to accomplish right now. But that will not come unless you focus on the process, unless you focus on getting better at trading, right? Most people want the applause, right? But they don't want to do the work that is deserving of the applause. Everybody wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. That is why I always say that I work 10 times harder when nobody is watching than when everybody is watching, because you are rewarded in public for the work done in private. You are rewarded in public for the work done in private. Everybody see the 6-figure profits every single month right now, but what they don't see is the hours upon hours of backtesting, live trading, late nights, early mornings of me just doing the work when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping for me. That's what they don't see. Okay, so you always see the highlight reel, right? You always see the profits, the wins, the money, the lifestyle, the watches, the cars. But what you don't see is really the manual labor that I had to undergo, the challenges I had to overcome, the trials and tribulations that I had to face in order to get to where I am today. It's a long, arduous journey. It took me like 7 years to get here, man. It took me 7 years to be able to use my trading profits to pay for this new apartment right now, my dream apartment. It took me 7 years to be deserving of this view right here, right? Like I said, it's not going to happen overnight, right? You got to be able to play the long game. You've got to be able to focus on the process, because ironically, when you start to chase mastery instead of chasing money, you start to attract money. Remember, when you are chasing something, it assumes that that something is running away from you. So if you're chasing money, then you're assuming that money is running away from you. But however, if you're chasing mastery, you are chasing getting 1% better every single day, what happens is that you are able to attract money, right? Money naturally comes to you because now you are not attached to the outcome. Now you are just focused on executing. You don't care about winning, you don't care about losing. All you care about is executing without hesitation, reservation, or fear. When you can get to the point, my friend, you're pretty much guaranteed to become profitable. You're pretty much guaranteed to make 10K a month or even 50K a month, right? But getting to that point is the hard part. The last thing is patience. You don't have the patience to get funded the right way. A lot of traders, they fail not because they don't know how to trade. In theory, they have the best strategy, right? They have like a 80% win rate strategy. They know how to analyze the charts. But they fail because they rush the process. They rush the challenge. They start to let emotions cloud their judgment. Like I said, it's all about patience, right? And what does it mean to be patient? I define patience as a virtue that you develop when you can actually be fully detached from the outcome. Okay? You can develop patience when you start to detach yourself from the outcome, right? Which means, once again, like I said earlier, you don't care whether you win, you don't care whether you lose. You just care about following the process. You just care about executing your trade plan. You just care about using the right risk parameters. That is what it means to be patient. Okay? That means before you trade, you are patient enough to wait for a trade that lines up with your trade plan. And when you are in the trade, you are patient enough to let the trade do its thing. You trust your analysis and you let the trade run without micromanaging, without moving your stop loss, without adjusting your take profit unless it's absolutely necessary. And then you are patient after you trade when you can actually sit down and you can journal your losses, your shortcomings, your mistakes, your weaknesses, and you can reflect upon this stuff here. And most importantly, you are patient in terms of the timeline it takes to accomplish your goals, right? Like I said earlier, where your attention goes, energy flows. If you focus on trying to do this within 1 week, 2 weeks, right? You focus on passing the funded challenge in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Then what happens next is that you are going to break every single rule in that funded challenge. You're going to break your daily drawdown limit. You're going to break your max drawdown. You're not even going to come close to your profit target, all because you are focusing on getting funded as fast as possible. Man, like I said, man, if you just slow down, you journal, you treat this like a marathon rather than like a sprint, you will pass easily, right? So it's not your goal that is unrealistic. 100%, it's possible for you to be funded in 6 months. It's possible for you to become a millionaire trader in 30 years, right? So it's not the goal that is unrealistic. It's the timeline that you have set for yourself that is unrealistic, right? It's the timeline that you have set for yourself that is causing you to fail. Because what happens is that when you don't meet that deadline that you have set for yourself, guess what? You start losing faith, trust, confidence in your trading abilities, in trading in general, and you quit when you are just one trade away from success, one trade away from achieving a dream life, one trade away from retiring your parents, one trade away from traveling the world, one trade away from buying your dream house, one trade away, guys. All because you set a deadline for yourself. So the bigger your goal is, the bigger your timeline must be in order to match that goal. And the funny thing is, the bigger your timeline is, the easier it is for you to accomplish that goal. Because now you are not trying to do everything in this short amount of time. Now you are just focused on doing one thing every single day, getting 1% better every single day. And then eventually you let time do its thing, you let time compound your efforts and your results. And next thing you know, 30 years from now, 10 years from now, you are a millionaire trader, right? And you look back, seeing the person that you have become, seeing the things that you have accomplished for yourself, seeing that you have completely shifted your identity from like an unprofitable trader to a profitable trader. and you just smile, right? You simply just smile, right? Because they don't see the work it took for you to get to where you are right now, but deep down, you know that you have done so much in order to get to where you are right now. That silent confidence is only developed when you forgo the deadline and you start focusing on mastery. Start focusing on getting better. So patience is the real edge, right? It's not the technicals, it's not the ability to execute charts like a professional, it's not understanding fundamentals, macroeconomic factors or microeconomic factors, it's not mastering your mind and like meditating every single day for the next 50 days. It's just patience. Like honestly, if you think about it, every single one of the problem that you face in trading could be solved if you just develop the virtue of patience. With patience, you will not overtrade because you don't find the need to do so. With patience, you will not revenge trade because once again, you don't find the need to do so. You won't force trade as well because with patience, you know that all you need to do is just wait, right? Wait for the A+ setup. So if you think about it, like every single one of your trading problem could be solved if you just develop the virtue of patience. And in this society nowadays, with instant gratification, with the ability to get food whenever you want, right, delivered right to your doorstep, with the ability to consume content whenever you want with just like a click of a button, with the ability to get information whenever you want just by searching something on ChatGPT, what happens is that we are so used to instant gratification, right? We are so used to getting things as fast as possible, as quickly as possible, while putting in the least amount of effort possible. So, yeah, we have kind of become soft as a generation, right? So if you are able to be patient, you're able to delay gratification, you're able to just wait, you're able to just wait for the fruits of your labor and start focusing on the labor, then my friend, you are just like better than 99% of the traders out there. And you can just get outsized returns by becoming a little bit better every single day. That's all it is, right? Just being patient. So just to summarize the 5 reasons that cause 99% of traders to fail funded challenges. Number 1, you don't want freedom. You want excitement. You want dopamine. Number 2, you're copying someone else's edge rather than owning and developing your own edge. Number 3, you can't handle success. Number 4, you want the payout but not the process. Number 5, you don't have the patience to get funded the right way. These are the 5 silent killers of funded traders. Like I said, if you don't actually solve these 5 problems, you will not become profitable. You will not get funded. And even if you do get funded, you will lose the funding. You won't even survive the first 2 payouts. Because once again, you won't feel worthy of the profits because you haven't shifted your identity. So let's talk about the difference between the bottom 99% and the top 1% of funded traders. Quite simply put, the top 1% of funded traders, they do not give a shit about getting funded in 30 days. Instead, they focus on consistency. Consistent in terms of the actions that they take every single day. They focus on risk management, making sure that they are staying within proper risk parameters, ensuring that they don't break any one of the rules in the funded challenge, ensuring that they reach the profit target at their own pace, at their own time. Number 3, discipline, right? The ability to just do the hard things, especially when they don't feel like it. They journal their losses, they reflect on their losses, they review their mistakes, they review their trades, even after a losing streak. Even when every ounce of their being tells them that they shouldn't be doing this because this is hard, right? But they do it anyways. That's discipline. And lastly, focusing on mastering one mechanical system, which allows them to trade without guesswork or emotion. and just execute with confidence and conviction. Because now they have a proper set of criteria that they look out for before they actually enter into a trade. Right? When they actually analyze the charts, they know exactly what to look out for. And it comes when you can actually develop that one mechanical system that suits your lifestyle, your personality, your risk tolerance, and most importantly, who you are as a person, right? Like just choosing that thing, that strategy that works for you, refining that strategy over time so that this strategy is always adapting to the ever-changing market conditions. So those are pretty much the differences between the top 1% and the bottom 9%. Obviously, there's other micro factors, right? Like being able to just consistently accept the fact that you don't know it all, right? Having humility and being incredibly process oriented, right? Making sure that you don't let ego get in the way, making sure that you're able to manage your emotions in real time, making sure that you develop mindfulness and awareness. All of these are variables that will actually make you better at trading, but you shouldn't be caring about any of those stuff unless you have these 5 core fundamentals nailed down. Right? Once again, it's consistency, risk management, discipline, and mastering one mechanical system. Okay, that's 4, right? That's 4, not 5. Okay, those are the 4 things, right, that you need. Those are the 4 things. And then all the other stuff, like the cool shit, like meditating and of affirmations and visualization, all that cool shit, they can only come after you get these 5 things right. Because visualization is nothing without action, right? Like manifestation is nothing without action. You still need to do the action that is necessary for you to succeed. You can just sit here and just hopefully pray that money will fall from the sky, and hopefully pray that you'll pass that funding challenge and get that beautiful certificate by constantly visualizing it on your wall every single day. No, it doesn't work that way, all right? You need to conform to the law of action. The law of action plus the law of visualization, the law of attraction, the law of detachment, whatever other weird laws out there. You can do those weird laws and they will work if you just do the law of action, right? If you just follow the law of action. So if you're tired of being stuck in the 99%, right? Fix your discipline first, fix your system first, right? Eventually the profits will come. Eventually the money will come. But you first have to put in the work. You first have to take the treasure map and just go and hunt for the treasure. Once you reach the X that marks the spot, you need to take a shovel and just dig until you eventually find the treasure, right? That is the work. And that unseen work is what separates you from winning, from you from giving up, right? So, my friend, that's all it takes. An endless amount of work. Elon Musk says that entrepreneurship is like staring into the abyss while eating glass. It's the exact same thing with trading. It's staring into abyss, right? Feeling uncertain, not knowing whether you're going to pay the bills this month or next month, not knowing whether you're going to win the trade outcome or not, while simultaneously doing the hard work, the difficult things, eating the glass metaphorically, journaling, reviewing, showing up every single day, and hoping that one day you will succeed. Hoping that one day you will eventually get that one big trade that will pay off all your hard work, right? That will allow you to be able to really live a dream life. And I'm quite confident to say that I've accomplished that, right? And now it's your turn. And that is why I'm making this video. That is why I'm making these videos for you guys, right? To help you guys out. Because genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to see you reach your fullest potential, man. I just want to see you succeed. I just want to see you living a dream life like what I've accomplished for myself. Coming from absolutely fucking nothing, right? If I can do it, you can do it as well. As always, remember, you're just one trade away. Mwah.